have a few excused absences. Commissioner Platt, Commissioner Saucer, Commissioner Arnold. Am I forgetting? Commissioner Moritz, of course, are all on excused absences this evening, and Commissioner Miller has graciously offered to take the minutes, so thank you. Get this popped up here in 1 moment. The meeting is being recorded, so if you're close to the camera, it will pick it up, so just be mindful of your conversations. So please and thank you. There we go. That was when he was much smaller than that. Okay, and we tend to kick off our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. So for those who are able, if you wouldn't mind raising, facing the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Miller, would you like to kick off district updates?
Sure. Columbia Gas has been working in our neighborhood in District 9, Drew Miller District 9, mostly on Kanawha and up towards Charleston Avenue and Foster Avenue. There's been a lot of interruptions, I think, to people's yards, and I've had some people reach out with questions just about the status and progress of the work they're doing. So I'm still trying to learn some of that myself, so I'm hoping to have some more updates on that. Then over the past couple of months, I've also had a lot of folks reaching out to me regarding Zone N and what do ADUs mean in backyards, and what could multifamily look like on a currently zoned single-family lot. So I'm glad that people are kind of really starting to pay attention and starting to ask questions. It's great. I'm just kind of responding to those as needed, but just wanted to bring that up. And then lastly, there was a dog-deer altercation in one of my neighbors' backyards just last night. It was pretty alarming to hear the situation. I haven't been able to connect with those neighbors since I heard that last night, so I hope everybody's doing well and safe. But deer is such a popular conversation in Clintonville. It's ongoing, and just be mindful if there's fawns. The does get really protective and aggressive, so be careful with your dogs if you're letting them out. That was kind of the situation. They just let their dogs out into their fenced-in backyard, and there was fawns in their yard there. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Josh Highway, District 8, nothing to report.
Brittany Bolton, District 5. I have had a couple of different things come through. The deer are plentiful this time of year. We see them walking constantly. I also received an email from the Department of Public Service. I would like to defer. I need to figure out whether this is District 2 or District 3. There is a marker on North Broadway that is in need of repair or perhaps replacement. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm going to reach out to the appropriate commissioner for that area. And outside of that, the Rotary Club meetings that we've been having around the speed study, which I think we're covering, assuming we have time later this meeting. Commissioner Latta.
Hi, Paul Latta, District 1. The owner of Yellow Springs reached out to me. There's a weird sign issue, or their sign's always been there. They had granted an easement to the city for the Indianola paving work, and now the city is saying that you're encroaching on our easement with your sign. It's always been there, so it's a strange thing. Yeah. Indianola paving's almost done, which is great. I see a lot of cyclists already using the bike lane, which is really good to see. The painting's not quite done, and the signs still haven't been unbagged, so that's not too much longer there. I also had the honor to speak to Cub Scout Pack 74 about being a commissioner and being involved in your community as for community service. So that was kind of a fun time, and that's it.
Mr. Wyman.
Mike Wyman, District 7. Just had a business owner on North High Street reach out to me about trees blocking his sign. Stacy determined that they was able to determine that they are not city signs or city trees. So then I punted the green team. So we'll see what happens with that. And that's all I have.
Love signs.
Commissioner Saucer is not here tonight, but we did all receive the meeting minutes from the May meeting. Are there any additions or edits to the May meeting minutes from commissioners? I'll move to approve the May meeting minutes as prepared. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, if you've seen, that is no problem, but we will defer them to July so that we have a quorum to approve them. It's all right, it's all right. Commissioner Miller, do you have any treasurer's report updates on top of your secretarial duties today?
So we have the budget for the Clintonville Area Commission is $2,500 every year. I don't believe that we have incurred any expenses yet for this fiscal year, so our budget will remain at $2,500.
We have our elections chair, Melissa Dahl, with us this evening.
Hi, good
Good
evening.
evening. Welcome.
Thank you. I guess I should mention, we will have an expenditure for a couple ads in the spotlight, that's coming out. I placed it one without telling you, so. Anyway, so I'm here to announce the election day for the CAC elections this year is August 22nd. That's a Saturday. Early voting is August 18th at Whetstone Library. Right now, we have this meeting room reserved. Sometimes we get kicked out if there's a library function, but right now, they usually put us in the lobby in that event. The districts open for election are 1, 2, and 9. Candidate petition packets will be available Friday, June 12th at the front desk out there. And there's a candidate orientation meeting, it's optional, on Thursday, June 18th, 6:30 out front. Every year we do take another look at the election rules for opportunities to streamline, provide clarity, add stuff that we think is needed. So we did that this week, and I did send an attachment to, right now, if you saw your,
Yes.
Chair Bolton, I don't know if you saw your email, I don't know if you're able to share members of the public, but I also have hard copies for commissioners. So I think these are fairly straightforward, but we appreciate comment from the public. The first proposal we have is to change our current policy on campaigning. Last year and in many prior years, campaigning on election day was permitted, provided it was at least 100 feet from the entrance of the polling place. And since Whetstone's the polling place, 100 feet from the front door. We evaluated that this year, kind of looked at it fresh because we actually no one on the current committee was aware of any campaigning activity, so we had no specific scenarios to explore other than last year where there was an issue of someone campaigning and we had no rules around enforcing the boundaries, setting it. We're volunteer based, and so year over year we may not have a lot of staff to be walking out there to enforce. So we thought, what can we do to kind of try to allow campaigning but create a better enforceable situation? There's also the library has their own considerations. They reserve the right, they have a code of conduct to approach patrons if there's a complaint and tell them to move, tell them to leave, tell them to, bring down your voice. So they don't want to be involved in any kind of election rules or overlap with how we operate. So that was some feedback we got from them. So based on all of that, we propose that campaigning be permitted outside the polling place. In our case, it's going to be Whetstone, on early voting day and election day, as long as it takes place outside the first set of double doors. Anything within the lobby and throughout the library is not permitted. So we think that's clear, very clear cut. We don't have to go out there with a measuring stick and put an orange cone and all that kind of stuff. It's just very straightforward. And as a kind of complementary provision, this would be brand new. It would follow that revision to the campaigning rule. I'll kind of go ahead and read the language. And this addresses the library's consideration. Individuals engaging in campaigning, this is what we propose to add, permissible under this section 6G, which I just explained, are subject to the Columbus Metropolitan Library Code of Conduct. Accordingly, Whetstone Library retains full authority to enforce its code of conduct, and violations may result in action by library staff. The committee has no authority over enforcement of the library's code of conduct, and actions taken by library staff are not subject to complaint, review, or appeal to the committee. So if someone's misbehaving out there. The library has jurisdiction, we don't. We're not going to entertain a complaint. Any questions on that?
I would just note, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Chair Dahl, it sounds very much in line with the library's rules around petitioning. As a frequent flyer at the library, we're always being asked to sign various petitions out front.
Yeah.
So it sounds like very similar placement, feels very easy to enforce. The doors are an obvious marker.
Exactly. And, yeah, I mean, that's all the time. You can go online and look at the library's policy on that, so. The other item, it was just kind of we thought we'd add any voter with a concern during polling hours should bring it to the attention of the on-site poll workers. Kind of pretty straightforward there. So those are the only changes we propose.
Any questions from commissioners?
I just have a question on the, kind of a statement outside the polling place. Can we also say that they cannot interfere with the ingress into the building?
Okay. I can certainly put that in for the library, probably. Kind of overlook that they would have a concern about that too, and they would enforce it. But I can add some language to that effect.
Thank you.
Any other questions or thoughts from commissioners?
And let me just add that the committee discussed the concept of a code of conduct or trying to put a rule around behavior, and we thought, we took be too much of a bottom-up exercise, any kind of standards in that area. We thought it should be more from the commission with kind of looking towards the city of Columbus guidelines or rules. So it's something that would help us if that became an issue over time. We could incorporate by reference whatever would be decided in a different forum, but we fell short of recommending anything being incorporated into the rules.
Other questions from neighbors about anything that Chair Dahl's presented? Well, thank you, and please thank the other volunteers on the committee. I know it's hard work to find a time to meet, get everybody together, and pour over this text. So thank you. Appreciate it. We do not vote on that. If it were bylaws change, we would. The rules are just adopted by the committee.
Okay.
I know we've got Ms. Stacy Biddle here from Department of Neighborhoods, if you'd like to share some updates from the city.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My updates are pretty brief. It's that season where it's kind of light. But you do see in front of you the requested hard copy of this beautiful Area Commission handbook, which so lovely goes with my dress. I totally planned that. And I do have the extra ones for the commissioners who are absent. I'll just bring those back. Yeah, I'll bring them back next month for them. Also, Commissioner Klatt requested a little bit of research into a certain property in Clintonville. I did follow up with him that following week on a Tuesday, stating that they are being kind of investigated by code, and that's all I have right now. So I followed up with him. And then what I did email you was about the Dan Charles Award and Community Networking event. That is actually a revamp of the Best Practices Conference. We're just kind of doing it a little differently this year. It's going to be, we're going to have breakfast, and then we're going to have the Dan Charles Award presentation, and then a networking event afterwards. So the nominations for the Dan Charles Award will take place from June 15th through July 24th. It'll be sent to everyone via email, and it'll have the criteria. I don't have the criteria right now, but it's basically an outstanding community member, community leader that does amazing things for their neighborhood. The first round of nominations, and see, this is different. So what we've done in the past is that the award was, winner was selected by us. Now we want the community to do it. So the nominations are going out. It'll take place during June 15th to June 30th. Those are the first round. And then we'll tally them, and the top 3 people will be out again for a vote. With the one with the most votes will be awarded the winner. The breakfast will be starting at 9:30 a.m. Again, followed by the award presentation. RSVPs will be sent out late July, with August 1st, I believe, being the first day that you can RSVP. Oh, and it's on a bye week. Saturday, September 19th. Thanks. And any questions over that?
Just a comment that on page 28 of the handbook, I would like to point out the area commission's agenda and minutes of Clintonville are used as an example. So thank you for noting our records present.
And they've sent that in. I do have one other introduction to make. Well, we do have a special guest here from the Department of Neighborhoods. Our director is in attendance tonight. This is Director Gullis. So I'd like to introduce her.
Welcome. Hi, Director.
Hello. I will only say hi. I am not prepared to speak.
Did you bring
And I am-
an intern with you?
And I am on mommy duty tonight at 7 p.m. during the summer. School is out. And so what better way to learn about civic engagement than go into an area commission? Charlotte, will you say hey? Hi. The Georgia me came out. I went all the way from professional to hey. Hi. So thank you for having me tonight. I have been on the job for a little bit less than 18 months now. And it has been my priority to make it out to each area commission. You can imagine what it feels like to go to 21 area commissions and still pull mommy duty and still do all the things. And so I'm grateful for the patience to make it to Clintonville, to be able to visit with you. Stacy is an amazing voice and advocate for you in the Department of Neighborhoods. And so thank you all for being engaged in your community. Thank you to our commissioners. This is volunteer work. And you do it in excellence and you show up in all the ways. So we're grateful to be able to be the door of the city to allow your voice to be heard and to share information back.
I just want to note that you have been to Clintonville, and we appreciate you came and had the Northside Chairs meeting, and I think Charlotte might have been on Girl Scout weekend duty.
She was on
Girl
Girl Scout duty that
Gallery,
weekend. She was. And
So you've been to Clintonville.
sell cookies.
Yeah, it's great to see you again, and we appreciate you being here
I'm
tonight.
happy to answer any questions if you will. Thank you for having me.
Any questions from commissioners for the director?
I said that in another one.
Any questions? Wonderful. Well, we know we've got a great connection through Stacy here too. So thank you so much for coming tonight. We appreciate having Stacy everyone. Thanks. All right. I don't believe I see Columbus Police or Fire in the audience. They're usually in uniform in the audience in the room. Do we have anybody from City Attorney's Office or any other departments that I'm missing? I know we've got a placeholder for zone in here in a couple minutes. Okay, all right. Is Cliff Wiltshire?
I'm here for Cliff.
All right, I was like, I don't see Cliff.
I'm not Cliff.
Welcome.
Thank
Would
you.
you like to introduce yourself and
Yeah.
talk about the fort?
Yeah, I've never been to one. Happy to give you any updates that we have. My name's Nigel Carter. I'm a lifelong resident, so appreciate the work that you're doing. We started the new committee last year. Great support for the celebration on the 4th. We have really been hitting it hard since I think maybe March 1st. And we're almost to our fundraising goal, which is tough to achieve. We're going for $100,000 this year, and we're about 90% of the way there. It's a full day. For those that grew up here, we brought it back because we love the celebration. It starts early, 8 a.m. with the breakfast at the Women's Club. We'll issue the full schedule, but all the old stuff. The fishing derby's back this year. The other thing we brought back is we're going to have 5 musical performances in the evening at the Lower Meadow from 5 to 10 p.m. And there's a bunch of stuff in between the breakfast, the All-Star games. I mentioned the fishing derby, the bike parade, the pet parade, all that stuff, and then it'll end with the fireworks at 10 o'clock. The support from the community is awesome. Again, we raised the money without any corporate support, which we were surprised by. We thought we'd get some, and we haven't, but the small businesses and the individuals in the community are really supportive. So it's going to happen. We're really pumped. We got the permit in place with the city, and the approval process is kind of iterative. We end up working on that through the month of June, but we don't see any problems there. So it's a go, and everybody's excited.
Wonderful. We're so excited. We've participated in the last couple of years of the festival with the booth, and we work really closely with the green team and Ryan Koshi's cheering back there. So I think we have a table again, and I probably need to do a sign up for commissioners to volunteer. But we really appreciate the opportunity to engage with neighbors. Do any commissioners have questions for Nigel? Any neighbors have questions about the Fort Festival? Yeah, Ms. Cipro.
It's not really a question, but I believe that a challenge was put out for 250, trying to get residents to come up with $250 toward this event for this year. And so I encourage all of my fellow residents to join me in supporting this event.
250 is the ask, is
So
in honor of the America 250, I'm
Yes.
guessing?
What's your name?
Sandy,
I didn't pay Sandy, but I should have done a better job as a salesman. One of our big initiatives was $250 from 250 supporters for the 250th anniversary, because we thought it sounded neat and it would raise $62,500. That's one of the things we're actually behind on, so thank you for mentioning it. We're doing really well overall fundraising, but I think we've only got 50 out of 250, so spread the word, we love it. And part of the other thing you made me think of is we support the CRC. We put in our budget the CRC support. We also have seed money in our budget for next year to make sure we can keep this rolling, because it is difficult to raise the necessary money. So thank you, Sandy, for mentioning that.
And if somebody wanted to donate the 250, where would they go?
We have all kinds of flyers and QR codes and yard signs. The Facebook website. If I could share, we have all the social media stuff. If I could share a simple flyer, I don't know if you distribute anything, but
It's our best reach is through our Facebook page, so we can reshare from the
I'll ask Cliff to. We have just this really simple one that'd be great if you put it in the minutes or whatever you're comfortable doing.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate the hard work. Thank you. Okay, and I think we've got Mr. Mark Willis from the city here tonight to talk about the zoning update.
Yeah, hi,
Thanks for
Chair,
being here.
Commissioners, thanks for having me. If you can take one and pass along, I'll just take a few minutes. I'm Mark Willis with the City of Columbus Development Department Planning Division. Quick update on the city's Zone In effort. Hopefully you know by now, but if you don't, Zone In is the city's zoning reform effort. It's the first time in 70 years that the city's going to have an updated zoning code. We're one of many cities in the country that are doing this effort. We're at about year 5 of it now. We did phase 1, was adopted by City Council in 2024, addressing primary corridors of the city. We're in the midst of phase 2 at this point. The overall goals for Zone In are to expand housing options, support local businesses, promote transit and accessibility, advance equity, and improve urban design. I made those notes because somebody asked me at the last meeting, what's the goals of Zone In? So, good question. Phase 2 specifically is looking at more sort of job-oriented uses in the city's industrial areas, job centers, some additional mixed-use corridors. The primary site that's being addressed in Clintonville is the deaf school site. That's really, it's not the only site, but it is the primary site that's being addressed in Clintonville. Right now, key points that are in this handout, so grab one if you want, or I'll hit the thing is that we're just going around and reminding people we're doing this work. Right now we're working actively with the consultant team in order to develop the actual code. Our goal is by October to have the code complete for the community's review. And what we'll be doing at that point is we'll have a 60-day public comment period. There'll be a gallery downtown where folks can come and see the whole story. There'll be a public survey, webinars, public hearings, stakeholder interviews. We'll be back to commission meetings. People can schedule us for appointments if they want to talk about it. We will also do a mailing to approximately 210,000 affected property owners. So it's going to be the biggest mailing that we've ever done. After the public hearing, we'll hear input, we'll make revisions, and our goal is to get the revised code to City Council by the end of this year. So that would be phase 2. On the flyer, we mentioned the email zoning update at columbus.gov. If you're not on the distribution list, you could go to Zone In Columbus, you'd find it and sign up. Or if you send an email, zoning update at columbus.gov, and say, put me on the list, we'll put you on the list and you'll get all the information as it comes out. We intend to come back probably about the time that we'll be releasing the public draft. So with a little luck at that point, we'll either have it or we'll have a pretty firm understanding where we can kind of start to talk about some details and really prod people to engage and tell them how to do that. So that's the update. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, when is it, do you have dates yet for the gallery?
We don't have specific, but we expect it's going to be after council break. So council, July, like towards the end of August is what we expect. It'll be 60 days.
Beginning of September. Are you coming back in 2 months as you have been doing here, or?
Yes, that would be the expectation, is to be at the August meeting. So at that point, we certainly should know the exact date. We'll be telling you, and you know, have all the specifics at that point. Yep.
Commissioner Wyman?
No, I know I've harangued you before about ADA stuff, and I just wanted to report to everyone when City Council had their event next door. I was really happy with the council members I spoke to who are reviewing ADA across the city, you know, in all departments and the ADA policies. So I just wanted to make that statement.
I appreciate you saying that. I mean, because council heard quite a bit during phase 1, and I think they're taking it to heart, and so glad to hear. Appreciate you saying that.
Any other questions from commissioners? Any questions from neighbors? Yeah, Chair Hardwick.
Yeah, I think this is a concern that Mark Moritz had, and I had too, about, it looks like there's a giant loophole that zoning has created, which is, if people, instead of getting a variance to build taller buildings way away from the main, way away from the main streets that you told us, you promised us this was limited to these main corridors, that it allows, that people can seek a rezoning to put themselves in the category of the people on the main, on High Street. Even if they're nowhere close to the High Street, they can be rezoned. That doesn't go to the area, that completely bypasses area commission review, it bypasses public comment. Have we found a giant loophole, and does the city intend to let people keep plowing through it?
You're talking about the Wesley Glen site?
Yes.
I'm not sure if there's a loophole, and I know we're meeting with the commissioner in a couple of weeks on this subject, and in the meantime, Building and Zoning Services staff are taking a look at it in order to understand what the previous zoning is, what the current zoning is, and what the impact might be on neighbors. So I'm not really prepared right now to talk about the details, but we're boning up on it, and we're going to be prepared to have that conversation when the time comes. And there could be ongoing communication with the neighbors and with the commissioners. I would suggest that there's not a loophole. Sites have been rezoned, and when they were rezoned, they were given a height limitation, a new height district that may or may not be different from what they had before. So I think the Wesley Glen site is an example of one that touches High Street and reaches deep into the neighborhood. So it was not, the intent was not to suggest that only sites that, I mean, it's touching High Street. So it was rezoned as part of phase 1. And I would suggest that the challenge there is really more the nature of that site, period, that it goes deep into the neighborhood, whatever the zoning might be, not necessarily it didn't come about as a result of phase 1 as much as the nature of the site. So I'm not trying to dodge the conversation, we'll have it. And you know, anybody that wants to, zoning update at columbus.gov isn't necessarily your right approach to learn more about this, because this is a site-specific question, but you could use that email just because it's handy if anybody that's here and says, hey, I want to know more about that, send it, and I'll try to remind folks, hey, as you see this, you know, the folks on Fenway want to talk, keep you in the loop. And I think the commissioner is probably your best point of entry because he's representing it.
And Commissioner Moritz is out of the country now, but he's been responding to emails on this while he's been traveling, so he's very plugged in and up to speed and happy to chat with neighbors.
It would actually be handy for us for you to work with him because I think he will represent you as well as anybody, and that's our one point of contact. That being said, you can email zoning update at columbus.gov.
Can you just expand a little bit more on what you mean by touching High Street? Like, I'm new to this, so I'm just trying to understand. Like, I understand the Wesley Glen's primary residence and parking lot are, you know, next to High Street. And our concern is the fact that they're several blocks from High Street, but because it's the same property, that's still considered touching High Street?
That's my understanding. I took a very quick look as I knew that this was on the agenda tonight. And don't quote me on it, but if I saw right, it's one property, and it goes from High Street to the full extent. And so therefore, properties that were rezoned, that were touching High Street, a lot of them are, 50, 100 feet deep. This one happens to be quite deep. So
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about.
So if they continued to buy homes down the sidewalk or down the street, if they bought 5 more homes that were for sale, it's an older community, it's not unrealistic. If they
Right.
bought 5 more homes, then that new zoning be applicable in the center of the neighborhood straight up?
No, I mean, if they buy, the zoning stays what the zoning is a purchase doesn't bring the zoning with it. So if they bought more property, they have to rezone those properties.
So if they purchase properties after their original footprint, then those might be questions that we could ask going forward about, this wasn't part of the original purchase, this was made.
I've got to be careful because I'm not the zoning person, but generally, right, if this is their zoning today, and this is the property next door, and it's zone R whatever, which is residential, and they buy that property, they buy that zoning with that property. So they are limited what they can do on that property for the current zoning. They can pursue a rezoning.
Yeah.
That would allow, and that's just kind of how zoning works everywhere. But the properties next door, unless if they're captured by the existing zoning for the main Wesley Glen site, their zoning stays as is until they pursue it different.
Understood. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Any other questions from neighbors? Thanks so
Thanks
much
for the
for
time.
being here. We appreciate you communicating with Mr. Moritz, and welcome back anytime.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm going to cut out.
Thank you.
Thanks for your service.
All right. Do we have a representative from Department of Public Service to talk about? Welcome. Thanks for being here tonight. Feel free to introduce yourself.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Ronaldo Stargell. I am the city's administrator for the Division of Traffic Management. So I'm here tonight to talk about 2 items, the Olentangy Trail crossing right at 315, as well as the High Street traffic study. So as far as the Olentangy Trail crossing, the latest update, and forgive me if I'm repeating something that you've already heard, is we are working with the Department of Recreation and Parks, looking at solutions on how to switch the signal timing to make trail users feel more comfortable, while also balancing that with ODOT's requirements around how you signalize at an off-ramp. Looking through some of the alternatives weren't feasible because it added so much additional timing and seconds at the intersection that now we're showing queuing back onto the freeway. So those had to get eliminated. The one we're really pursuing right now is when north and southbound get their green lights, they effectively turn green at the same time, right? Enter the conflict with the trail users. So we are looking to see if we can separate the phasing of when these southbound motorists are exiting the freeway from when the trail users are crossing the street. So imagine you're east and west, they get a red light, then the off-ramp proceeds and goes, and then at that point, northbound is not moving, coming from Ohio Health's campus, nor is the trail crossing being used. Once they finish, then at that point, the trail users would cross simultaneously with the northbound motorists. That northbound movement is much lighter than the freeway movement. Early indications are that it's looking like it's feasible to do. So we're working with ODOT, we're working with Recreation and Parks, we're getting their design team to make the necessary plan changes to document what's happening so that they can then order the equipment, install the equipment, and get it operational. We're aiming for later this year. So that is the latest update with that trail crossing. Are there any specific questions related to that?
You mind if I?
No, so Jacob Miller is the chair of our Planning and Development Committee and has been a big champion in this space.
Yeah, I'm curious with the change you're proposing, do you see a reduction in the total time for the crossing phase?
No.
Because I know some time was added.
No, we would still look to maintain the current amount of time.
Okay.
So just basically all right, I'll get nerdy for a minute. So when you look at signal timing, you look at the whole cycle, we may need to adjust the cycle length to accommodate the additional phasing, but the intent is not to reduce the amount of time that trail users have to cross the intersection. It's just enlarging the pie so that we can, have everybody move, but hopefully do it in a more separated fashion.
Any other questions from neighbors or commissioners?
I can just comment, I think
Yeah,
the southbound movement, the left turns off to the highway crossing through the trail, that was our number one concern that we brought to the commission previously, so I'm glad to hear that that's being dealt with, and I think that would be a huge improvement.
Sorry, that reminds me, one thing I forgot to mention is the southbound movement will look differently. So right now, if you're turning left, you only turn left from the leftmost turn lane. The idea with this change is that the right lane, which is much wider than most people are turning left, it will become an everything lane, right? So there would be 2 lanes allowing the left turn. You can also turn from the rightmost lane. So that allows more people to make a left without it stacking onto the freeway. So that was a way to kind of solve both concerns. The signal head will look a little different for it, but as a trail user, the main thing is, when you're crossing northbound and southbound, you hopefully won't be competing with freeway traffic.
So, thanks for the efforts made to make it safer. That change obviously can't take place until the bridge work is done.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then that would be a cluster.
Yes, agreed.
Do we know the timeline on?
I think it's supposed to be done this fall.
I think it may be this summer.
Late summer?
Yeah, somewhere in there. But we've been talking with Franklin County Engineer's Office and keeping on top of that schedule. But yes, you're absolutely correct. We will be able to install the changes to the bridge work is complete. But once it's complete, installing the change is really a matter of changing out signal heads, making some pavement marking changes, and signage. Working with Rec and Parks, I'm sure once we have a time frame of when those will go in, we want to communicate that to you guys so you know what's coming and what to look for.
The biggest challenge is there's 3 jurisdictions working within 100 feet of each other.
Yes. Always. We get that pretty often.
Yeah.
Well, if there aren't more questions on this, maybe we can transition to the High Street
Sure.
speed study.
Yep. So the High Street speed study. So there's approximately 4 miles of High Street throughout Clintonville. We looked at the speed study. So let me back up. The reason why we're doing a speed study is in order to change the speed limit under Ohio Revised Code, we are required to perform an engineering study. It looks at various factors, roadway geometry, what are the speeds now, how much pedestrian bike activity. There's a number of factors that go into this process. So when looking at High Street, looking up and down, I believe, at one point the request was for 25 miles an hour. Just based on the factors and everything that is out there, that was deemed through the study process to not be feasible to move forward with. We did attempt to engage ODOT and submit a request for a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit change. However, in that instance, we would not be able to get it for the whole portion. And even once, as part of the process, when we're making the study, we visit the site, we collect traffic data. For anyone curious, there's approximately 21,000 vehicles that are using High Street and sections of High Street. And there's various other parts about the data collection process. We actually counted every single driveway along High Street. There's a lot. And so all of that goes to the study. And we submit our study, our request to ODOT. ODOT District 6 then comes out and they actually did a site visit, a field visit, because we submitted multiple speed limit change requests. And in this particular instance, the request to change to 30 miles an hour was not approved for a variety of factors. Namely, the biggest challenge, well, not the biggest, one of the biggest challenges we have with the speed limit on High Street, as far as going lower, is there are currently sections on High Street that are very wide. You have the 5-lane section, but then you have the pocket where you have 5 lanes and then the parking lanes on top of that, which that's just pretty wide pavement. Even if we put up 25-mile-an-hour signs, practice shows that instead of, for example, if the speed limit is 35 right now, people are doing 42. Instead of complaints that people are going 7 miles an hour above the speed limit, the complaints would be that people are going 17 miles an hour above the speed limit. Just because if there's no physical change to the corridor, we found that generally does not result in lower driving speeds. So we went through that process. The request to change was not approved. However, that does not mean any efforts to look into traffic concerns along High Street are over and done with. One thing that would be helpful for us in my traffic engineering team is knowing where are the largest areas of concern. So when we look at a corridor, we generally don't look for a speed study. Yes, we look at 4 miles, but then when you're diving in looking for different solutions, it's much easier to really dive into the segment of concern because we will read crash reports, we will collect new data. There's a lot of information that we take in that process and see, are there other things we can do, we can tweak? For example, if we're in that, that very wide portion, are there other ways we could look at maybe repurposing the roadway, changing the striping? Could we do curb bump outs or painted curb extensions or something like that could be deployed relatively quickly? If that's something, if a particular intersection or intersections are the concern of the community, then that helps us to better focus our resources as opposed to, us trying to guess and, come up with a solution that doesn't meet your needs, expectations, biggest concerns. So that's something that would be helpful for us. We do have our, has everyone heard about our Vision Zero effort? So through Vision Zero, that's a very data-based movement, data-based platform. We do try to focus on areas that are seeing the greatest numbers of serious crashes, vulnerable roadways, so crashes involving pedestrians, bicyclists, motorcyclists, those that are unprotected by a vehicle. We use that as a guide to kind of, channel where the biggest crashes are, but the concerns from the community are really the things that help us to hone in and know where to focus. So, for example, if something is a school bus stop and that's a concern, a lot of times within traffic engineering, you're focusing on what's it look like at the AM rush hour or the PM rush hour, because that's when the greatest volume of motorists are using the roadway. Just knowing where the concerns are, what are they with? Is it with a particular business that's, introducing some form of a traffic pattern that just, if you're not out there at a certain time, we won't see it. Having that information will help us to better hone our efforts and see if we can get some different solutions to address concerns.
Well, this is not a question, but I think this is really well timed because a group of commissioners and Rotary Club members and other just concerned neighbors have been meeting regularly about how do we slow down High Street, how do we make it safer. And Chair Miller has put together with his committee a survey specifically to business owners, but also residents, I believe.
Yeah.
We're going to try to get it out broadly that I think will collect exactly the type of content that you're looking to hear, and we would love to share that with you and be collaborative. Do you have more to share on that, Jacob?
Yeah, we're still working through it, still editing it, but we're hoping to get that out this summer. But yeah, it'll do exactly as you said, business owners, residents, people that frequent High Street, be able to take the survey and share their concerns, like what that concerns they're having, but also provide those locations as well. So that's a big part of it. We also did, I guess it's a year old now at this point, but we, as the Planning Development Committee, did pull some data, crash data specifically, and reviewed it for High Street. So we do have that analysis to share. So in that we kind of identified some locations, and we've identified locations in our CIP in the past. So like because we've been talking about High Street safety for a while, we have some of this to share. So maybe we can follow up and share some of that after this.
That'd be really helpful depending on where the location is. When we're looking for different solutions, we would look to engage the correct partners. So what I mean by that is if we're near a school, we would look at how their school traffic circulation, is it a matter of bus stops? Speaking of bus stops, we would work with CODA, to maybe instead of being on the near side of the intersection, just moving into the far side of the intersection and fix things. So those are just some different examples that we try to look at to try to address some of the patterns.
I think the Clintonville Area Business Association would probably love to engage on this too. We've got a lot of retailers and other small businesses on High Street.
Yeah, and we would look at like parking utilization and things like that to know, we would work with our mobility and parking solutions group, which is led by Justin Goodwin, as far as looking for different solutions in those areas, if doing something would be beneficial to roadway safety.
Are we able to get the data that you collected during the speed study? Is that something that can be shared?
Yeah, I can share it with the commissioners.
That'd be great.
Or Stacey. Yep, I'll share it. I'll get it.
That's great. Send it to us.
Yep.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I think what I heard when it comes to lowering the speed limit, I think it sounds like ODOT is looking for the city to narrow the street, create more streetscape, things like that, reducing the width, is that,
So,
like that needs to come first before a
So-
speed limit?
great question. So, ODOT, when they're looking at an engineering study, for years, ODOT's, the way that we view speed limits, just in traffic engineering in general, a lot of things revolve around the 85th percentile speed. And what that means is if you look at all the speeds along the corridor, this is the speed at which 85% of the motors are traveling at or below, right? And so that was used as a lot of the impetus, for speed studies and things of that nature. Within Ohio, ORC 4511 sets prima facie speed limits, like the default speed limits for different types of streets. In order to vary from that, ODOT's looking at the engineering study and the criteria on the roadway. What ODOT's looking for is, do the roadway characteristics match what we're trying to post? What we have seen just historically in our own just personal success, and sometimes less than success, I don't want to call it failure, but is you get the greatest compliance with speed limits when you do things like a lane reconfiguration. It may not need to rise all the way to a streetscape, but for example, I'm blanking on one in this area recently.
Can we think of, like, the downtown Worthington?
Yes.
High Street.
Mm-hmm.
It's just north of us. The
Mhm.
speed limit's 25
Yes.
there. I think there's 3 lanes of travel and two lanes of parking on each side.
Yes.
It's going northbound during certain hours. It's 4 lanes.
Mhm.
2 traveling north, 2 traveling south.
Mhm.
I guess that doesn't really feel too much different from areas in Clintonville. If you think about north of North Broadway, there's landscape medians. You got the same thing. You got parking on each side, travel lane. I guess I don't really understand from an engineering standpoint what's different about what Worthington has with their 25 miles versus pockets in Clintonville that have the same characteristics.
That is also a great question. So also within ORC 4511, within the speed limit code, there are exceptions allowed for basically what's your town center, right? In that case, Worthington City Hall is right there, they're downtown. That's downtown Worthington. The reason why that's able to be 25 is because that's downtown Worthington. That's the same code that allowed us to reduce the speed limit in downtown Columbus. There is not currently, and this is the way the Ohio Revised Code is written, once you get away from downtown, the code is very complex as far as how you can just drop the 25 mile an hour without it being your downtown, without it being your town center. So that is the reason why Worthington is able to do it for that finite stretch. And then once you get away from that stretch, as you go north of Worthington, it restores itself to 35 mile an hour and before it climbs even higher. And then as you go south, that's a 35. So that's the reason why. That's a great observation. I do agree with you, but just looking at the roadway, it would not seem to make much sense. But it's an Ohio Revised Code situation.
Do you think that with zoning initiatives, a lot of properties being rezoned, we're saying what can go on High Street here? I don't think that I don't know if the zoning guy left, but I don't know if there's room in the zone intake to say, okay, this area of north Broadway on High Street in Clintonville, this is like a business district or something. Is there a way that you can use terminology for, like, instead of it being downtown, like a business district or some kind of other district where there's more pedestrian traffic, we want to see more crosswalks, we want to see reduced speeds? I mean, is that another factor that would be considered by ODOT?
So the challenge is, I would say with the Ohio Revised Code, there are elements, this section has not been updated in forever. And there are elements that, particularly when you were dealing with mixed use developments, that add some complexity. So once you get like housing mixed in, that really messes with the business district conversation. Now, one thing we are trying to do, and it's not necessarily related to speed limit per se, but maybe speed control and just general safety of moving vehicles. As we get opportunities for larger redevelopments, maybe not even a lot, but maybe it's multiple lots, we are going to look to pursue to, instead of having driveway, which every time you have a driveway and access to High Street, just through access management, we want to try to limit those, consolidate them. And if there's an opportunity, use shared driveways, push them to the back of the property, things like that. The other speed control element within Zone N is just generally just the way that the city views development of the site. For years, if you were building an apartment complex, the parking lot was close to the roadway. The roadways were set back, and as a motorist going down the roadway, it's very open and more inviting to speed. Versus what we're seeing now with a lot of redevelopment and a lot of the infill, with the buildings being up, it gives more of a, not a tunneling effect, but more of a calming effect from a driving standpoint. And over time, as we get more of that may change driving behaviors. That may, just different things we can maybe we can get the developer to put within the right of way, more tree cover, things like that. That provides an opportunity. So maybe not so much from a meeting the explicit definition of a business district standpoint, but there's a lot of other calming elements that we could potentially put in there to try to accommodate it and accomplish it over time.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I think I do like some of the changes that have been, modifications that have been made as a pedestrian who crosses High Street in South Clintonville.
Yes.
The, I don't know.
Leaving pedestrian interval?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, I found that those, they frustrated motorists at first because they thought they were supposed to get a green light. So but over time, a year now, I guess, that they've become accustomed to it. And so it does feel safer crossing the 7-lane portion once you're down by the giant eagle. So. Thanks.
The longer this conversation goes on, the more we feel doomed on Morse Road.
It really does. It really does sound like our infrastructure has to come first. Like, we have to get drivers to slow down. And I think one thing we've talked about before is drivers don't speed when they feel like it's unsafe to speed. And I think a lot of that we figured out is through streetscapes, medians, trees, things like that. And I think what I'm hearing is that all needs to happen. So we slow down the drivers with those physical things before ODOT would change the sign, because they put a speed limit of what people are already driving at. It seems backwards.
So maybe we'll plant some trees on Morse Road.
Yeah.
Well, I think it means when we look at CIP, if we want to get serious about slowing down speed on traffic, I think we need to target CIP funds for High Street.
Like the island.
Or more street.
Like the island in Kennedy or something like that.
Yeah.
More of those perhaps.
And those do have a calming effect. It can be feel safer as a pedestrian when you're crossing the road, when just the beautification component too.
I really appreciate you spending time with us tonight. Are there other questions from neighbors before we?
Not so much a question, but I just want to say in all my years of coming to commission meetings and listening to people from the city talk, you have the most complete, understandable. You did an outstanding job. I understand what's going on at North Broadway, besides the bridge fiasco. And the exploration of the speed on High Street. Thank you very much for your thoroughness.
How many year resident now? And former chair?
No, I wasn't chair.
Okay, former commissioner.
Me. I was second. 56 years.
Well, that's a big compliment. I appreciate it.
I've been working for 6 years. I've been working for 6 years for one of those, and I still haven't gotten it. Thank you very much for being here. And we would love to follow up with the slides that the P&D committee created around crash studies and the survey that we get back this summer.
Yep, absolutely. That would be really helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm like sitting there.
Hi, I see Chair Foshi has. Yeah, please. Point of order, I'm going to call on our green team chair.
Just because we're a little slightly ahead.
Perfect.
You got a couple minutes, so it's good. If anybody picked up the spotlight, I'm Ryan Foshi, chair of the Clintonville Green Team Committee at the Area Commission. You'll see on the front page, there's a story about Fire Station 19, which is one of our project sites. It mentions a plant sale, and so I just wanted to say that's not this Sunday, but the next. It's at the fire station from 9 to 3. And the funds go for some new historical markers. It's a neat project with a bunch of groups involved.
It's a fire sale.
It is.
Sunday the 14th.
Emergency fire sale. We gotta get these plants out. Next Sunday on the 14th. Also, there is Columbus Arbor Fest coming up. If anyone wants one of these for their fridge, that's what you can count on for. You can get one of these. It's here at Whetstone Park. It's a big festival, nature festival. It's free, organized by our committee, and a ton of people come, and a lot of groups are there. You can learn a lot. It's really neat. So these will be just out. Fantastic. And I think, yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. Any questions about Arbor Fest? I see, sure.
You had posters last year. Are you going to do those again?
Yeah, we'll get posters too. But for now, it's just fringe stuff.
Like yard signs or?
They were good sized posters. I made my own yard sign with it.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if you end up making them with the corrugated plastic.
Usually what we just do is paper.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of those. And then we go out to local businesses, and it's not just Clintonville Arborfest, it's Columbus Arborfest. People come from all over town. So they go all over town.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chair Koshi. We also have an update this evening from Blueprint. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Yeah. See if I can't get the technology magic to work here. I have big shoes to fill following the best public speaker in the city. Try very hard not to confuse anybody here.
Do you need me to disconnect?
You know, we never really know. We have a very similar system in our, no, Siri, I'm not talking to you. We have a very similar system in our headquarters building. It's always, I guess it's. There. Get this rolling. Good evening, everybody, commissioners, everybody that's here. My name is Cameron Keir with Blueprint Columbus. Happy to be back. I know we were just here to talk about some of our work that is ongoing in our Clintonville 2 neighborhood. That is where we just started some mainline and limited lateral linings for sewers that still need to be rehabilitated. I have not heard very much, and I like to take that as always as good news. So no news is good news when it comes from there, but they are hard at work. Tonight we are back as we've hit another significant milestone, this time in Clintonville 3. So our southern Clintonville project area has now hit final design. So if anybody was out and about this week, our team was very hard at work. On Tuesday, we have gone out and put a future rain garden sign and some basin markings of the exact engineered size of the final design basins there across Clintonville 3. So just wanted to come by and give everybody an update. I know everybody here is very familiar with Blueprint. We've been in Clintonville for quite some time. We're happy to continue our work, very excited for what comes next. But just to kind of remind everyone why Blueprint is here, we exist to meet the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency's consent orders that were filed against the city of Columbus in 2002 and 2004 to reduce sanitary sewer overflows, so untreated water spilling into our rivers and streams, and to clean and treat the stormwater. And the way we do that is at the source. So our beginnings have gone through some significant changes since 2005, when the original plan was to just construct additional tunnels. We are here today because in 2015, the Blueprint alternative was submitted and approved in the EPA, allowing us to do this work and also invest in the neighborhoods at the same time. One of the things I like to mention a lot, because we ask a lot of questions as we're doing our outreach and conducting everything for all of you, is we want to know where the water is so we can know where we have to treat it. But our program is not designed to combat flooding directly. It's a very happy byproduct of our program that when we're controlling this water and keeping this water out of our sanitary system, that we will see a reduction in some nuisance flooding. I know many of us have had to experience the very wet weather we've had over the last 2 weeks. Our team has been very busy as well, trying to respond to everyone as quickly as we can and provide updates on everything there. But really, we are geared at those consent order requirements. And our goals and our 4 pillars meet those as well. So again, our goals are to reduce the sanitary sewer overflows and to treat the stormwater before it enters our rivers and streams. Our lateral lining program, lining those pipes from the inside out to keep them sealed up. Our sump pump program of installing sump pumps in basements for the homes that don't have them. Our limited roof water redirection program. All those 3 pillars meet that goal of reducing the sewer overflows. Tonight we're kicking off and discussing our final design for green infrastructure, which treats that stormwater right there at the source. So this is a quick reminder of the Clintonville 3 project area. There is one asterisk on this map, and that is Doris Weber. Doris Weber is in the Clintonville 3 project area, so down there on the southwest corner, but there is no green infrastructure planned in the Doris Weber area. You will still be eligible for the other programs, the sump pumps, the lateral lining, all of that if you live in that area, but right now we still, this is not a change from detail to final design, but we still have not had any green infrastructure added back to that area or planned for that area. The other areas though, things are still moving ahead as we predicted. So where are we? Final design is complete. What that means is all of our final locations are marked with temporary paint and signage. You see one of our future rain garden signs up there. I heard a bit of a rumor that some of them may have already traveled a bit from their assigned locations. So if you know that one of those has maybe grown some legs and walked away, we just ask that you kindly recycle it so that it does not create a larger environmental impact. We apologize if you did not like the colors on the sign. I didn't pick them out, so I can't say anything about that. The other big portion of final review is that our plans are routed for signature review through the City of Columbus. So public safety, public service, all of the building and zoning, the critical departments that would potentially have program conflicts or additional work or say that they would need to review as far as our rain gardens go, do have a chance to make some input. So why we say final design and not pre-construction, and here we go, is for that exact purpose. The other things that have to happen are we do have to still bid this project through the legislative process to get a contractor on board, to get a construction inspector on board, and have City Council approve what we call our NTP date, our notice to proceed. That's the date that we can begin construction. So here's some additional project area updates. My team and I have spent the last year, almost to the day, since our meeting at the Methodist Church on North Broadway last June, meeting with residents. That includes on-site meetings, phone calls, emails. I believe we even had one video visit, which was a new good one for us. All across the project area, and trying to mitigate as many possible concerns, suggestions, worries about the basins as we possibly could. As I said in June a year ago, and it still stands today, we aim to make everyone as happy as possible, but there are some instances where the basin is in the location because it's the best location for the basin, and we try to resize them, change them, whatever we can do. So the bonus of that effort is that 58 basins have been removed from detailed to final design. For a credit of factors to a large sum of things, including the stream restoration impacts of our work that's ongoing in the Walhalla Ravine. Many of the other basins could have had a size change, a shape change, a slight delineation to one side or another to make sure that it's in the best spot. When you know, if you're playing Jenga and you take that one block out, you want to hope the rest of them don't fall. So if we're taking the basin away and we have to shift something ever so slightly, that's what it is. I do want to point that this design remains with no bump outs in Clintonville 3. That was a significant portion of resident feedback that we heard as far as the parking goes and everything else. There are no permeable paver streets due to the cost benefit. We were hoping that we may be able to add some of those to this neighborhood. However, that did not end up being able to work here. If you are looking for the updates, the map, our interactive map, blueprintneighborhoods.com, has been updated with the design specifications for Clintonville 3. So if you're like, boy, I kind of remember, I think I had a rain garden before. If there's that blue box there, that's where the rain gardens are going on that map, so you can zoom right in. On the parking with the bump outs, I know we did a parking study in this area. We were talking today, and we're not aware of many significant parking impacts. Most of the basins we are designing will have our step strip, just like this lower picture here. That allows for you to park in front of that basin because it gives you a nice chance to step out without getting your shoes all muddy and full of anything else. Or disturbing our flowers, which is always tough. Also in this project area, Walhalla Ravine, good update here. This project is bid. It is undergoing legislation. We will see the stream restoration happen this year. All these plans are signed by the city departments. Nearly with an asterisk, all invasive trees removed. It seems like every couple of days I have somebody that happens to find one that they thought was going to be removed on the property or is still working through something. We will be looking at those as we move forward, and we hope to get the contractor back out as soon as humanly possible to get that taken care of. Our notice to proceed date for the Walhalla Ravine is expected to be July 20th. I had initially had no later than on this slide, but I knew if July 21st came and went and the NTP wasn't filed, somebody would send an email, and that is exactly what I wanted to highlight. But we expect July 20th. We will have a pre-construction meeting for that. It will be specific, most likely, for just the Walhalla Stream project. And I think our bottom line here is thank you to the commission and to all the residents for working through us through this process and the design that is really going to benefit not only the ravine, but as you can see from some of our other work, all of the Clintonville neighborhood in reducing the pollution that is going into our rivers and streams. So while we're taking a look at this, kind of a look at overall timeline of where things stand right now, ongoing is our sump pump work that started last year when we hit that detailed design threshold. We will begin the green infrastructure work this summer to fall. 27 to 29 is when we're eyeing the lateral lining. I've had a lot of questions from Clintonville 3. We can't wait for that lateral lining, and I can't wait for you to get it either because it's so magical as far as what it is able to do to keep the rainwater both out of your property and out of our sewers. But that is where the construction timeline stands. As of now, of course, we are a city project, so things can shift slightly. But this is very firm in what we believe is going to happen right now. We will be breaking ground on the green infrastructure this year. Yeah, so this is fun for me. I know this is a very difficult topic for a lot of you as well. I want to be as transparent as I possibly can about rain garden maintenance and make sure we leave plenty of time to ask questions. This has been a long year for rain garden maintenance work, not only here in Clintonville, but across the city of Columbus. We had to take this program back to ground zero and build up completely from where we were. We did not realize the impact that was left by a negligent city contractor not doing what they told us they were doing and continuing to submit invoices. The choice last summer to stop maintenance in all of the city of Columbus was not even at my level, not even at our level, at a department level. It was a fiscal department change that they said, this is not happening anymore. What that meant is at a very hard time in the growing season, in a very hard season when we had a drought, we lost all city maintenance work on the street across all of our basins. A contract like this must be publicly bid. Then there's a 30-day bid opening process. Then there's a legislation process. We were very fortunate to work with City Council and get that to go as emergency legislation so we could get the funding as quickly as possible. Plants don't like to wait. Weeds don't like to wait. Everything else doesn't like to wait. So by the time we did get to the basins, the damage was big. So as you've seen in a lot of Clintonville neighborhoods, we did have to come down. We did have to take a lot of vegetation out of these basins, and our plan stands this year that Davey Landscaping, working in Clintonville, will be responsible for helping us fully rehabilitate these basins as part of their natural life cycle. This was a point we were going to get to very quickly anyway. Mulch washes out over time, seeds wash out over time, the plants need to be, upkept, replaced, just like your own gardens at home. And that's pretty much exactly about where we are right now. So that is the work that will be happening. These basins are being visited twice a month. I know it's hard, you sit there and you're like, did they really come today? There are 2 visits that happen. There's an inspection visit where they document and take pictures of the current basin condition. They come back 1 to 2 weeks later and perform the monthly maintenance. Here's the problem. Weeds like to grow, especially with this wet weather we've had. If they come on Friday and the weed starts growing on Saturday, the weed is going to stay there for 28 days. That's where we're at right now. My challenge to our maintenance team has been, what can we do to help additionally? And so we are working very hard to try to see if there is some way that we can accommodate the requests from residents who have some type of a gardening or a green background to be able to do simple tasks like pull a weed. As things stand right now, our hands are very tightly tied because they do touch our storm sewer system. So in this bizarre world of law, because everything has to be black and white there, technically entering the basin is the same thing as entering a water treatment facility. Are we really going to play that? Probably not. Legally, the city attorney's office will be happy to know that that's what I've said. So we do remain committed to this. This has been an incredibly long year for me. I've talked to many of you several times, and I completely hear the frustration. This is what we intend for these basins to look like. This is what they look like when they were planted. This is what they look like when they were maintained, and this is what they will look like when we get this back on track. So Davey is your contractor. I have had very productive conversations with them and with residents who have seen them already in the neighborhood be able to get an update. So just a quick reminder on this. This is our sump pump program. If anybody's got a smartphone, wants to scan the QR code, check and sign up for our pumps, this is the place to do it. There is still a wait list for the sump pumps, but I am told it is getting much, much shorter. We are working very, very diligently as hard as we can with mid-state basement systems and the basement doctor to work through this list and prioritize those who have been sitting for quite a while. So my best advice is, if you have been on the wait list for a bit, think 12 plus months, and you're like, I don't know why they haven't called me yet, give us a call at that number or blueprint@columbus.gov to let us know. My task to the contractors has been, you need to prioritize the folks who have been on here the longest. What happened is some pumps are expensive to install. What happens is this is ratepayer dollars. We have to be responsible with the money that we collect and use publicly. We were getting too far ahead with inspections to continue with the installs quickly after. So we have taken steps to change that as well, to make sure that when you're put on the list, you're all set. So what's next? Where do we go from here? When is the next time I will see you? Optimistically, I would like to say August, maybe September. I'd like to aim for August to come back and invite you when we will have a public meeting date, and to be able to let you all know when and where that will be, and exactly who the contractor is, and all that kind of fun pre-construction stuff. The plans, again, routed through the city departments. They'll be submitted for signature in the bid. We do have some residents that have asked for some on-site visits following our markings this week. We will be visiting and meeting with them the best we can. The next thing that we have is just to ask folks for their patience and let us continue this program that we have been meeting and interacting with you all about for the last at least year, longer than that. We'll look back to preliminary design. So I will open it up to some questions. I can take some property-specific questions, but if there's anything very, very specific, really happy to either give you my card or have you email us and follow up offline. Yes, sir.
I have a question about the lateral linings. If residents are within the project area, and I think I saw that lateral linings were going to start in 2027.
Correct.
Somebody who has a lateral line issue can't wait a year.
That is correct.
it'd be great if the city could find a way to reimburse those folks who have to go out of pocket for it because they couldn't wait 3 months for you guys to get there.
So we do feel that. When the legislation was written, there was not a mechanism put in place for reimbursement. That was a decision made by City Council in 2015. I don't see anything on the horizon that will change that, to be transparent. Other than, it looks weird when it comes in the mail, because I've seen 2 of them, that Columbus Water and Power did partner with an insurance agency that you can choose to purchase insurance at your, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you that the insurance is available if you'd like to purchase that. I don't know how much it costs exactly, but that is an option that will protect that line so that if it does have an issue, until Blueprint is able to get there, you can look at that as a potential measure. The other thing is I am very optimistic here in Clintonville as we are a year away. In other areas of the city, we have programs that will not be getting the lateral lining until 2032, 2035, into that timeline to meet our designation or goal in 2040. So, yep. Any other questions from the commissioners?
I have one. That I'm assuming the answer is 311, but there's a basin on Chatham Road that somebody is concerned might have poison hemlock in it.
We checked on that. It was not poison hemlock. Yep, we already did that. 311 is a great way to do it. Blueprint at columbus.gov is a great way to do it. Calling our outreach line is another great way to do it. The secret is that all 3 of those come right to me. So whatever you're most comfortable with, please let us know. Please let us help. We don't want those basins to sit if you're like, oh, if you really haven't seen it get better, give us a call so we can have somebody come out and take a look.
I think I saw a hand, the gentleman in the glasses, and then Chair Bushey. Yes.
I appreciated what you said about, getting rid of the bad performing contractor and getting David Tree in. I live in Clintonville 1 area, and they pulled out the plants built sometime last summer.
Yes.
And then they said they couldn't replant until the weather got cooler.
Yes.
And but we're still waiting on them to replant. And I talked to some David Tree guys that were working on one by our house, and they said that they're waiting on the city for a list of plants that they're allowed to plant. Does that make sense to you?
In a way, yes. I mean, there is a designed plant palette for each of these basins that we have to make sure we match up with. That doesn't mean it has to look exactly the same way it did the first time that it went in. The other part of this comes down to dollars and cents as well. So there is a financial impact to having to rehabilitate now every basin, most basins, especially in the Clintonville 1 project area.
So do you have a timeline for when we're shooting to get this done?
We're shooting to get it done this season.
Okay, it'll be sometime this season.
Sometime this season. What we don't want to do is put the new plants in the ground and have a July drought and have to come back and reinvest that money, which is exactly why we had to wait last summer. Right. The decision to remove those plants was one that was heavily debated. Davey basically came to us internally and said, we cannot guarantee our work unless this is the decision.
I think it was the right decision because they were a mess.
There was lots of overgrowth, there was lots going on. If we take too much off of that plant, that becomes the problem.
Right. It's just that now it's just mud holes, so.
Chair Ryan,
I was just wondering if you could go back to that slide that has the different project types, sump pump. It's got 3 vertically. There we go.
Thanks.
Just because I think that's helpful, because the lateral lining is coming up soon.
Absolutely.
And just kind of leave it there for a sec.
Absolutely.
Because, yeah, it's a great program.
Thank you.
I used it myself for a sump pump years ago. Big fan.
I always say, take advantage while the pillars are happening. Even if, and I had a home like this, I never saw water in the basement until I had said, I don't think I need a sump pump. That next rainstorm, guess exactly what happened. So the water came in. These are offered at no additional cost to you as neighbors within a project area. The lateral, 7, 10 plus thousand. The sump pump, 10, 5 to 10. somewhere in the neighborhood of 18K that you're going to save yourself and be able to invest in the value of your home if you're thinking that way as well. So we really suggest take advantage of the pillars while they're here. The only voluntary pillar is a sump pump, just because we do ask for that work agreement to be signed because we have to enter the home. The lateral lining, pretty much automatic. You've got the zip code, you're set. The green infrastructure, those locations are being finalized. So.
And then a follow-up. The lateral lining, there's a question about damaged lateral lining right at the top. What you're doing is not repairing broken lateral lines, it's a lining. So if it's too damaged, it can't be repaired that way. So I just wanted to give that, that's my understanding.
So there is our process looks like this. We go in, scope and clean, and get all the gunk out of the pipe, get a good look at what it looks like. As long as we can meet a minimum diameter, our crews can, what they call, shoot the lateral and go in and fill it with the resin liner to seal that from the inside out. If we encounter a situation where there's a collapse, like you were mentioning, if it's on the public side, we take a look at that automatically. If it's on the private side, if we're somewhere in the grass between your front door and the street, we will issue an issues found letter. That gives you, as a homeowner, the opportunity to look at that point repair. If it is something that you feel you are able to repair as it's on private property, we will then come back and reline the portions that are not new as part of our process. But again, because it's where it is, that does fall out of the scope. Yes.
What's the diameter of the pipe that you guys are limited by? What's the limitation? Is it 3 inches or is it?
That's a wonderful question.
The one pipe is 4 and the other is 6.
Right.
The 4 companies.
Right. So most of the laterals are 6. I think what your question is though, what is the compression that we can have before we can't shoot a lateral?
I'm curious because I've got, like everybody else probably, I've got an old Clintonville house, and so we just had an issue with one of our pipes, and it sounds like the pipes leaving the home are a smaller diameter than what will be installed now. So I'm just curious what that limit is to where you can't use the liner.
I would have to get back to you with that after chatting with it, because there's going to be a very specific answer. It's going to offer a ton of algebra, and I was a journalism major, and I just don't. So that's it. But any other questions? Thank you all very much. We will be here. We'll be in the community. Please find us. We're going to be at ArborFest. We're going to be all over. If you have any other questions, look free to reach us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As we transition speakers, we're going to have Zoning Chair Stephen Hardwick come forward. We have a few items on the agenda. I think maybe 2 applicants are here.
Yeah, two. I don't know if the demo permit made it with the late notice, but yes, and I can also give at the end if you want a very brief description of what's I think is going on with the city process. I'll try to with the Fenway just a brief. That's exactly what the application is. Okay, you want me to wait till you get that up?
Yeah.
I think I'm disconnected, so you should be very done.
You can go ahead. I'll plug in the meeting code. Thank you.
I think the correct. Not quite as good. When you're putting up the graphic for the first one, just. There we go. Please let that open up for you. See that? Hey. You can make just a little smaller. Okay.
Is that all right?
Yes, and I want to clarify what the variance here is, because it's in the minutes, but it wasn't in the blurb that I sent to Vice Chair Lana. And they are only seeking a variance from 33-12-27, and that's to decrease the parking setback from 25 to 15 feet. And that's here. this is where their parking pad is. But in order to have one parking space, they need a full 25 feet from there to there instead of the standard 15 feet. The reason they want this variance is they're trying to put their parking pad access from Aldrich instead of from the alley. And the couple reasons for that were that their parking, they can't use Aldrich as much as they used to because there are parking restrictions due to the, I believe it's due to Bishop Watterson being nearby. And the alley access, they thought people were going too fast down the alley, and right now it's basically if they want to park a car in their parking pad, it's just off of that. It's just off the alley, parallel to the alley. So it's a weird looking space. We had no negative comments, one positive, one neighbor support. This is an odd shaped lot. They had a change in the parking, which isn't their fault. And what this mainly does is allow them to have a parking pad where they can park their car not in their garage, on their driveway, and have it go off of Aldrich. And the city has said they don't need any other variances. So the only thing they're asking for is 25 feet to 15 foot setback variance under 3312.27. Do you need me to repeat that?
No.
I want to make sure.
You can pull it.
No, I just want to make sure that it's right for the report.
Yeah, I've got it in your minutes too.
Okay. I could go through the rest of the discussions, but I think that explains everything important. The applicant is here.
Would the applicant like to add anything additional?
I mean, I think that was well said. So we used to have on-street parking. Restrictions were added a few years ago, and so we want to have a simple driveway, very consistent with the character of the rest of the street, and will look very nice. That's it. Appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah, and I'll note this is not the first time parking on Aldrich Road has come up at this commission, so not a surprising topic, and appreciate the approach. Are there questions from other commissioners for the applicant? Any questions from neighbors? Are we prepared to vote? All right. Shall the application be approved? Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Hiley?
Yes.
Commissioner Lotta?
Yes.
Commissioner Wyman?
Yes.
I will also vote yes. Congratulations on your project.
Thank you, guys.
The second item on the agenda is GC 2625, 3989 North High. This is the church that's there. They want to allow the installation of a replacement ground sign as indicated in the application. The applicant seeks a variance to reduce the required ground sign setback from 15 feet to 6 feet under 3377-17. This is to keep, the sign is a little bit bigger than the current one, but it's more permanent, made from more permanent materials, not just wood. It's some sort of composite. It does not seek any other variances in terms of the size of the sign. Yes, it will be a little bit bigger, but it's still within the graphics code. There's no change in the lighting requirements and those sort of things. The original sign was, let's see, they put the other sign back in the late 90s. They put a wood sign in and it's deteriorated. They want to replace it with a better sign.
You're having trouble getting it up.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Pull up the citizen access portal too.
No, here, he gave me this.
Oh, perfect.
And I can
These are just existing photos.
This is the existing photo
Of what's there today.
See, I don't know the people have probably seen the existing sign by Clinton.
We're next door.
You're next. Which one are you?
First church.
First church. Oh, first church. Okay. Okay. Yeah. They just want to replace that white wooden sign with a brick-looking sign that's. You can see there, and that's, the other drawing here is just to show how much it goes underground to keep it steady. We thought, since this is a busy corridor, but they just want to put the sign back where it was. They don't want any other variances. It's been there for decades. We thought that the recommendation was unanimous in favor.
Would applicant like to add anything additional?
I'll speak for that
Sure.
for now. So Tim Keskiewski, Fashion Design, I'm an architect. We worked with First Church on many projects over the years. If you have a chance to swing by, you can tell they maintain their property extremely well. And this is just kind of one of the ongoing small things that they take on to make sure that they have a great presence in the neighborhood for the community. A couple years ago, we did a reading room edition. I encourage you guys to come in and learn more about the mission. That's open to the public. But in this case, the sign's wood. It's rotted. It's in the same place. And when we went to replace it, after numerous exchanges with the city there, just based on the right-of-way dedication and setback, the code has changed. And so we felt strongly that it needed to be as close to High Street, particularly coming from heading northbound where we have some walls and landscaping that would obscure the sign, and particularly with some of the speed concerns that we've addressed. The easier this is to identify, and the better for everyone trying to find a way to mass or church services. So generally, that's the goal. And then when we look broadly across, comparing for other variances, I mean, there's 30-some other properties that their sign is closer or the same distance on High Street. So we felt we were not changing the fabric of the neighborhood or asking them for too much. Yes, we are happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you very much. Any concerns or questions from commissioners?
I just want to say I've always thought that sign had a lot of unique charm to it, but I think your new sign is really attractive as well.
The original drawings were beautiful, and that is the original sign, more or less. There's some stonework too. Yeah.
Any questions from neighbors? Vote. Shall the application be approved? Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Hadley?
Yes.
Commissioner Lotta?
Yes.
Commissioner Wyman?
Yes.
I also vote yes. Congratulations on your new signage.
So you roll the state the rest of the meeting.
I'm not here the rest of this.
Okay, this is a demolition agenda 263 West North Broadway. The application is to waive the 60-day waiting period to demolish a small home. We received it the day before the committee meeting, which is basically, I got it probably maybe 6 to 8 hours before the cutoff, where I could still send out notices. The applicant wasn't able to make that meeting, and at 2 in the morning, the day after the meeting, I took off on a vacation, and I just got back to work today. So I just realized I didn't tell the applicant, you really should be at this meeting until a couple hours ago. And so that's on me, but
We're all volunteers, Gerard.
Sorry, I apologize. But all I can say is the realtor on the committee said that this was a building that an old house that really should be demolished. He said, just tear it down. It was listed as $177,000 on Zillow. I checked. It was listed as $170,000 on Zillow, and that's about what McLaughlin, committee member McLaughlin said. I did send emails, and he did acknowledge receipt of the representative of the Clintonville Historical Society. I haven't heard anything back except for received an acknowledgement that they're still the right person that I'm sending that to. So the committee unanimously recommended to grant the waiver. And just so you know, this isn't permission to tear down the house. All it says is they don't have to wait 60 days. The only power the commission has is to delay things by 60 days. And that's what we're here. So we unanimous. Oh, in the minutes it says 63 West North Broadway, but in all the agendas, in the draft minutes, it says, but on the agenda you have it correctly, it's 263 West North Broadway.
So the way I understand it, we have the option to vote or to table this.
You can vote yes, you can vote no, you can table. I think if you table it, it's from it goes from roughly May 26th, so they could be July 26th is when they, roughly around that time when they could tear it down without it. And your next meeting is, I don't know when your meeting is in July.
July 2nd, assuming at the end of this meeting, when we take a head count, unless we need to postpone a week if folks aren't coming for a holiday.
Okay. So you would be able to take a few weeks off if you did. That's the reason we allow the more accelerated procedure is it's a 60-day waiting period. And yes.
They know what any plans are for the site?
No, we do not know what the plans are.
Do any commissioners have strong feelings about how to proceed?
I don't see any reason to delay.
Any thoughts from the public, any neighbors from that part of Clintonville that have
Demolish it.
Demolish it.
Good news.
Great, we'll go ahead and take a vote on Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Hiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Lotta,
Yes.
Commissioner Wyman,
Yes.
and I'll also vote yes.
Okay, and I guess I'll do a reply to all of the initial email I got from the city and say the commission approved it, and if they need something more specific from acting secretary Miller, then they can do that.
Thank you very much.
And would you let me give a brief explanation of what what is proposed? And I will try to stick to what I know and not go beyond what I know and not speculate. But a few weeks ago, I got notice from the city that said that there was a rezoning at 163, 179 Fenway Road. It's Z26020, if anyone wants to look it up. That's Z26-020 is the number of the application. And it's to rezone 163 and 179 Fenway Road. We did approve variances to that and to allow people to move variance to allow people to move the homes away from there. They want to rezone it from suburban residential to community activity center district under the zone in. The email from the city says rezonings do not come before area commissions. I did have a good talk with your speaker afterwards, and I think he's aware of the concerns. I'm not going to speak for him on what he thinks of this. This is something that would allow a rezone. Any property can ask to be rezoned into this district, which would allow 5 stories, up to 5, and 2 stories of bonus. 2 stories bonus if they meet certain conditions. And that commissioner, there is a meeting proposed, I believe in a few weeks. I just looked at my calendar, I can be there if we need to, but because this doesn't come to the zoning committee, this really is Commissioner Moritz's bailiwick, and I would not be here if he were, I would not be speaking this if he were here. The neighbors are concerned we allowed them to speak, since we ended early and with the agreement of the committee, we allowed them to speak, and you saw some of the notes, what's going on, and that's where their concerns come from. This will eventually be a city council decision, so they're the people to lobby and watch for. And the commission will have to decide whether it wants to authorize someone to go speak if it makes it all the way to the commission. I can check I can tell you that the city has said, I looked at the planning review, it says on the website, planning is potentially supportive or requests the site plan elevations, etc. The city is still talking, it appears, at least from the website.
Chair Hardwick, to your knowledge, with the new zone into this new zoning district, I understand it skips the area commission. Does it go to development commission before city council?
That I don't know. I think it was mentioned this could also be kind of considered an opt-in to zone in, and I'm not sure if that's correct. Or that was one, whether there's a question whether it's opt-in or whether it's rezoning, or whether those two expressions mean exactly the same thing.
Well, I understand why you said loophole earlier now, because I didn't know that they submitted the application, but they did exactly what the gentleman said they would need to do. And it does feel like a loophole because they were here to purchase single-family homes, and I think during that discussion, I don't know, I want to go back and look at the meeting minutes, but I thought, my understanding was that it was not going to be multi-story, what they're proposing.
We don't know.
I think we had heard patio homes at one point.
We don't know.
It was a rumor.
We don't know, man. I have no, I'm saying what it could be, I'm not saying what,
I know.
if they came up with I am trying to stick with, being careful, what do I know and what do I not know? It can be up to 5 stories, up to 7 under certain conditions. What their actual plans are, I don't know. The city has asked for more details, though.
How is that different than Sherwood Village?
It's this, there's no historical review here.
So I want to be, I know we've got folks here today and we're happy to hear public comment on this. And I want to be mindful of the fact and just be really clear. We've got Commissioner Moritz meeting with the city June 22nd, I believe.
That's what it's proposed.
Which is a Monday, a couple weeks from now. So we will have more information before the next meeting. That being said, do commissioners have additional questions from Chair Hardwick, or are we ready to hear from some neighbors about this topic?
I would hear from neighbors.
Yeah, we would love to.
We've just been made aware of this today.
Great.
Hi, my name is Tim Cryer. I live at 191 Fenway Road. I'm here with some really cool neighbors from the neighborhood. We are representatives of Friends of Fenway. We now represent over 30 residencies on Fenway Road. And, I don't know how much to kind of tell you, but Fenway Road is one street north of Graceland Shopping Center. And so High Street and Fenway Road is exactly where Wesley Glen Senior Living, their property begins. It's that grassy, wide open parking lot. And then it goes for 4.5 football fields down Fenway Road. And stops actually at our house, but right across the street is all their homes. And so, it's, as you know, there's like a 7-story building up toward High Street, and then it tapers down into what they have are patio homes and those 3 individual residences that they've purchased over some periods of years, including most recently, I think this summer. I was kind of jealous. I was looking at all these plans here, and I said, like, man, it'd be cool to look at some plans. We don't know anything. In terms of the 2024 Columbus zoning, bypassing the CAC for you guys to be able to make a recommendation, officially or not, it's difficult for us to know how to navigate. It's really one shot. Columbus City Council, they allow 3 speakers for it, 3 speakers against it, and that's it. And that's the decision. So I guess what our concern is and what we want you to be aware of is just that Wesley Glen's owner is seeking rezoning of their final jigsaw piece, all right, of the house that they moved. They paid $600,000 for that property. It probably was worth what that one is that they're tearing down somewhere else in Clintonville. So they clearly wanted the land. They allowed the owner to move the house up the street. You guys made some zoning accommodations for that, and that makes sense. It was a really fascinating thing to watch, a whole house being moved up the street. It was something that if you missed it, it's worth checking out. So all this being said, we all have a soft spot for Wesley Glen in our hearts, right? We volunteer there at Thanksgiving. We've got folks whose families are there right now, whose families have spent their last days there, folks who want to go there and spend their senior years there. So it's first-class residents, first-class staff. We're just struggling with the executive leadership. So I guess what our ask for you guys is to say, like, hey, can you advocate to City Council on behalf of these neighbors here on what we're trying to do? And so what do we support? Well, first off, we support adding more senior housing and more affordable housing than what Wesley Glen is even proposing. A bigger bite of the apple. We know Columbus has huge housing needs. We have to address them. So we're not saying don't build. Really, another priority is that we want them to expand and complete those patio homes. They're amazing. You've never seen them. No steps. They're for the young, old. They've got a nice little kind of community, sort of half built back there. It's a wonderful high tree canopy area. for them to enjoy some of their years. And on top of that, they get to be able to get out and move to wherever they want. So it's an active spot so far down the road. The other thing that we want to advocate for is a tall senior building fronting High Street. It makes sense. I think the traffic guy was talking about how with some of these buildings, with the easements not so far back, it's what people are doing. It's how cities get high density going. So we think there's plenty of room to be able to do that there so they can add more senior housing and more affordable housing. We're also looking for transparent planning and honest communication. Wesley Glenn says they genuinely have no firm plan. None. In fact, they've said to us, trust us. So I guess if Wesley Glenn and their kind of non-local owners, and they're just in Cincinnati, so it's not like coming from somewhere else far, far away, if they truly have no plans, we would ask that we advocate that they withdraw or at least table their zoning application until they do have some more actionable plans that we can hold, take a look at, and sort of figure out and deliberate together in this kind of cool democratic process. So clarifying questions, we all can answer questions here pretty much.
If I could add to just
please.
to the neighbor's concern is of the parcels that they recently acquired, they wrote a letter to you all. I think this came from the Water Commission, and they specifically addressed how they use those for training for Columbus Police, Columbus Fire. Absolutely fine. But I think that what has raised concern is the state that they've left those in for a very long time. And they absolutely, in the letter that they sent, they absolutely did provide us the information that was going to happen. But it didn't really follow what they had told us. And so time has just gone on. It's gone on. And there's these houses there's an open pit, there's a half demolished house. They just yesterday added a lock and a no trespassing sign to the fence, but the fence is just like open and it's been that way for 3 months.
Mm-hmm. It's still open in the back.
Well, yeah, and so I think that part of just seeing how we've reached out and the neighborhood has still stayed that way. They say to just trust us, but we say it on our website for what we stand for. It's like, oh, if this is how you're going to handle this, like, who's to say that you really do have the best community in mind best interest in mind when this is the state of the parcels as they exist now? And they're saying that it is all for utility reasons. Understood, but I mean, is that true? So that's another reason why we just are more like, how do we mobilize to get our point of view?
Well, I do not represent this area. I know Commissioner Moritz has been in communication. I think that this website and what you guys have created is extraordinarily effective advocacy, and coming here tonight at the early onset of this process and the site acquisition is extremely helpful for us to better understand the project, the concerns, and hopefully come to advocate to City Council if that is the appropriate next step. Are there other points? I know we've got a good group of folks here. Are there other points that neighbors wanted to make about this tonight that are different than what our first couple of neighbors have shared around this project?
I live right across the street from it.
Okay.
It is a half demolished house. I bought my house 8 years ago. I pay my property taxes. I maintain my property. I have to look at this eyesore. The answer we get from Wesley Glenn is, we don't know. And in the coming weeks, we're going to clean this up. I would like some answers from the city of Columbus as to why it was allowed that the fire department, that the police department was allowed to do drills in a residential neighborhood and a senior citizens complex. It doesn't make any sense. They had an active shooter drill where someone was on the roof with a fake gun. SWAT. Yeah.
The photo that the gentleman just shared to the commission is also extremely helpful to illustrate
and it's on the website.
I have one other comment.
Sure.
That is, Columbus Fire was there at that building that you just saw.
Yes.
And the flyer that Wesley Glenn sent around said there would be some windows broken, possibly a door, and that they would be replaced with plywood. 2 days after Columbus Fire was gone, there was a front-end loader smashing into that house. Now maybe Columbus Fire did that, I don't know.
According to the letter, we did.
But I don't, nobody's been back since. It's been at least 6 weeks, maybe longer.
Yeah, it's going on 2 months.
It was supposed to be demolished and leveled and grass seed or whatever they said it was going to be. And that was supposed to be at the end of April. And then I also live across the street from it. That's right outside my front door as well. And I'm more concerned with the tone that it's turning to now. Because we went down and spoke with them, was it February or March?
We reached out in February because we heard they were going to burn the houses as part of the training.
The city or Wesley Glen?
The city.
The city.
And so Tim was kind enough to reach out to Wesley Glen. We met with the executive team. I was one of the participants in that meeting. We went down there and asked them, hey, we just want to have some open communication. We're a little concerned because we're adjacent to the property. What's happening? This house moved off of its block and went down the street. Like, what's happening? And then there was a rumor circulating that it was these cottage homes. And so we were like, great, perfect. It's residential. It's an asset to the community. The residents would love it. This would be good. So when we went in there and specifically asked them some more detailed questions about what's the plan, it was literally, we have no idea. There's no plan. I said, you just acquired this property. You have no 5-year, 3 to 5-year plan. Nope, we have nothing. Okay. At the end of this meeting, we said, well, how about we schedule another talk when you're ready to demolish these homes or burn them so that we can understand what the process is going to be. 2 minutes later, the administrator of Wesley Glen said, we don't need to schedule that meeting. That house isn't getting burned. It's going to get demolished. I said, well, I thought you just said you don't know what the plans are. No, it's going to be demolished. You don't have to worry about a fire. Okay. So when would the next meeting be? Well, we're not sure when the next meeting will be, but we'll keep you informed via correspondence with these letters. So the first letters that came out was this pretty descriptive letter about, hey, these are the houses involved. This is what's going to happen. It's going to be fine. We're going to have it cleaned up by the end of April. We all said, great, no problem. Then the zoning sign went up. No discussion with us about a rezoning application or anything like that. The zoning sign went up and we all went, interesting. During our meeting, the gentleman, I think the president that just purchased the property said to me, what do we need to say to you to make you feel better? And I said, you could tell us that you're going to put in the patio homes. Well, I can't tell you that. And I said, okay. I said, well, we just don't want some 5-story building going up across from us that's going to change the landscape of our residency and our neighborhood. So then after they put up the signs for the zoning, then the correspondence stopped, essentially. We heard nothing else. Chain link fencing went up, only around the front portion of the home. And you can easily walk around. There's fawns in there, so I don't think it's, they're figuring it out. So I don't think it's totally, secure. But they put those up and we heard anything until last night. Last night we got a letter that was more or less blaming us for the situation, telling us that it was our fault that we had taken this to this level. And it almost feels like a letter written to back up what they may have wanted to tell their residents. So it feels much more contentious now when all along what we wanted to do is really have just discussions. So now we're kind of lost. The zoning's happening, this is being skipped, it's going to another council that we don't really know anybody in, and we're just trying to slow down the train long enough to get on it so we can at least be part of what's happening instead of just going, oh, that's it, it's over.
Thank you, and thank you for waiting until the end of the meeting to provide comments too. I really appreciate that, and I'm sorry we are closing, so we need to shut it down. But I want you to know that you have been heard, and that there is a meeting coming up, and we will advocate with the city. And the website, having these things, having visuals, having the chain of emails is really helpful for us to do our job as community volunteers.
Is there anything else that we need to send you? Do you have everything? Or
we have the website, we have the photo, we have the letter.
Okay, perfect.
Feel free to send us more if there are more meetings or anything else. Feel free to keep us in the loop over email. And again, Mark is also very responsive to District 6.
He was super awesome. Biked up to our place.
Yeah.
That was kind of us.
So thank you for being here.
I would just add that I think this is a perfect example of what a lot of us were concerned about when the new zone in. And I mean, the way that they're handling it doesn't feel very transparent. And I would say, for the record, that I think going 5 stories at this location would be completely inappropriate for what zone it is meant to do. It's too far off High Street. Right?
Yeah, I mean, if you can have it on our street, you can have it anyways.
Yeah.
Appreciate the time. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Are you?
No.
Let's forget pictures to show.